Welcome to the Royal Family Real Estate Podcast, where none of us are shy about giving our opinions. We are a local, family-owned real estate brokerage and pride ourselves on being experts in the Chicagoland area. Join us on our podcast journey to hear what's going on in our local real estate market, as well as get an insider's point of view on this crazy industry. Welcome to the show.
What's going on, friends? Welcome back to the Royal Family Real Estate Podcast. Royal and I are going to talk about what it means to be an expert in the field of real estate today, and I'm looking forward to being able to have a good conversation with him. Royal, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm good. Good afternoon.
You living the dream?
Every day. Every day is a day that is a dream day.
Is there any other way to live than for every other day or every day to be a dream day?
No, you just keep telling yourself that today is a great day.
Even when it sucks. Even when it sucks, like today's a great day.
Toxic positivity. That's what
mindset. But looking forward to talking with you today. I think you're an expert in the field and you help other agents be experts in the field. So just kind of diving right into it, what does being an expert mean to you from a realtor standpoint?
I definitely don't think it means that you're a realtor. You know, if you're a realtor, it doesn't mean you're an expert. That's not a given.
There's a lot of part-time people in our business, right? A lot of people, even full-time, that might not be an expert or put that craftsmanship work into it. Is that what I hear you saying? Yeah, I mean the problem is that to get your real estate license, for one, you can do it in a crash course over 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. So if you can consider yourself an expert after 2 weeks, then I think that really waters down what it means to be an expert. So then you've got that. You just get your license, and then you can sign on with the board of realtors, which they'll take anyone that has a pulse, has a warm body, pulse. Really, anyone can become a realtor. I wish there were things done to make it so it was a bit, the barriers to entry were higher, such as maybe an apprenticeship or kind of like an appraiser, right?
Yeah, where you have to go on for at least a year or maybe 2 years. The appraiser is 2 years under somebody, and to where you really understand all the ins and outs and are truly an expert when you graduate from that. Mm-hmm. But it is what it is. There's no way that that's going to happen, because that's how National Association of Realtors makes their money, is by everyone being a realtor and paying in lots of dues. So you just have to, earn that badge, I think, through experience and just being a successful broker every day. And you'll see people that are been in this business for 10, 15 years, but they may only do 1 to 2 deals a year. So that they're certainly not an expert. So it's not years in the business. Mm-hmm. In my view, it's more of someone that is doing this every day and treats this as their career. And, that's their full-time job. I think at that point you earn the tag as an expert.
Mm-hmm. Do you think, to me, being an expert comes from getting into the field and focusing on daily systems, but I think mentorship is super important. Yeah. You don't know what you don't know. And because it's the barrier to entry is so easy, you can mess things up for your clients, for the other side that you're working with as well, and because you don't know everything, especially when you're first beginning, right? But having a mentor, to me, in the beginning, but even throughout, have a mentor and other people you vibe with, and that you could collaborate and collectively learn from each other eventually is kind of one of those things that helps get us to an expert in our craft. Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. We all have our strengths, so to learn with other people, I think is huge. Yeah. Sometimes people will say I sold this many homes, or I sold this many homes. I did this volume, or I did this transaction, this amount of transactions. When you think of number of transactions and sales volumes and equate that to being an expert, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're doing 1 to 2 deals a month, you're at a point to where this is, something that you're doing every day. I think if you're doing, 5 deals a year, you're not doing it enough to really know all the ins and outs, but you've got enough to be dangerous, but not enough to really consider yourself as an expert in the subject matter. So I think someone that's doing, 15 to 30 deals a year is definitely someone that has a really good understanding, for the most part. And then, but just because they're an expert doesn't mean they're a good broker, because you have a lot of people that have done this, that do this, every day, but they're not necessarily someone that you'd want to work with on the other side of the table, or represent their clients well because ethically and whatnot. So, as you're in the business for a while, you get to know some of those people through working with them. But we always try to create really good relationships with our service providers, other realtors, and certainly our clients, and just do the best job we can. But in any industry, there's going to be people that are not necessarily great to work with on the other side.
Yeah, for sure, especially when the barrier to entry is so. It's so easy to be able to get your real estate license. It opens up, the floodgates to people coming in that might just not, because they don't do it every day, or because maybe they're not a good soul. they're not very easy to be able to work with. What to you, if you thought about like what makes an agent good? To me, talk about like their daily routine. What's their daily routine, and what makes them, over time of repeating that daily routine, become an expert?
Oh, yeah. So, well, I could say, I'll just, my daily routine, and I feel like I could consider myself a successful broker because I've been doing it for 22 years now and consistently, about 40 deals more, or give or take, every year. Nothing where it's crazy, where I can't handle it, but also it's enough that, I'm full-time plus.
And you're leading other agents too and supporting them in their endeavors. So your days are full.
Yeah, days full, but I love it. So my daily routine involves a schedule, a very detailed schedule of, time blocking every hours, and I do it the night before. So I'm unsettled the day before if I haven't completed that task of creating my schedule for tomorrow, because then I know I'm getting all things done, because a lot of things can slip through the cracks. But that's me. I haven't seen anybody else really do that. I know it's kind of, everyone has their gifts, or the things that they're good at. And that's one thing that I feel like I have dialed in as my organization. But on the flip side, there's a lot of things that we have great brokers in our office that they're really good at things that I'm not nearly as good at. But what I see with other brokers that are successful in the office or just around is that they treat this as their career. They treat it as like they're going to work, and they have a job to do that day. And a lot of them, a common thread has been that they use the CRM, whatever their CRM is, and every day it shows them what clients they have to follow up, or what transaction management system, items they have to do, or calling their clients and getting set up for an appraisal, doing a CMA and buyer presentation, doing the presentations, doing the walkthrough. So they have a way to really manage their day. And then they have a way of recording that in their database and then keeping in touch with their clients. So they every day know what their tasks are, what things they're going to do. They figure out whichever way they're going to do that. It's a full day of selling real estate. Mm-hmm. So that's that, and consistent. They're consistent with that day in and day out. But the most common thread is someone, an agent that uses a CRM and has some way of tracking all the things that they're doing in their business and updating their clients as they go. And that helps them generate new business in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's foundational to me. Like that's, it's hard to run any business if you don't have some type of CRM to be able to track and stay up to date with your clients, keep all their history in there. And then, you said it, consistency is huge. To me, it's the repeatability of doing this, which sometimes can be mundane. The repeatability, when you repeat it over and over again, fruit comes. There's no way that it can. I know one thing that you had me do very early on was, and I had a spreadsheet for it, was talk to 20 contacts a day.
Yeah.
There are people thinking that was nuts, but it was possible. It's hard, but talk to 20 people a day about real estate. And it was, at the time, cold calls. It was, open houses, those types of things. And that, although I didn't always meet that, to go after that every single day helped me be a successful realtor kind of from the start.
100%. Yeah. I mean, it's all the things that people don't want to do,
It's not the fun stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be hard. Like we have an ice cream social coming up tomorrow that we've been preparing for the last month and a half. That's an easy touch point with your client base, just to invite them, and touch base with them. And you're not trying to sell them anything. All you're trying to do is just keep top of mind. So if they want to buy or sell something, or if they have someone that they know that wants to buy or sell, that they look at you as the expert, because probably everyone knows a couple brokers at least. But are you the person in their mind that they feel like, yeah, if I'm going to recommend somebody to my family or my friend, I feel most comfortable referring this person because I feel like they're going to do the best job for my client. So you want to be that person that they look at as the expert. And you do see some agents that might be being a lender or an appraisal and a realtor, or they've got a side business or whatever it may be. Then you're not top of mind of that person as that's what you're doing full time. Then they're thinking about the other person that's their full time job. I'm going to give it to so and so. So you want to be. There's only one. They're only going to look at you as an expert in one field. And what field do you want that to be in? For us, it's trying to focus on let's be the expert in our field, which is real estate, being a realtor.
And a hyper-local agent that really focuses in on relationships, but I also see us on a daily basis really focusing in on relationships and communication, which is key. And we could touch base on communication here in a minute, but also using data to be able to help give advice, and to be able to use the data that's given to us to be able to help lead our clients in either getting the most money or protecting for their home, or protecting the buyer to make sure they're not paying too much for the home. Or if they are paying too much for the home, at least they know it because of the use of data, use of being able to follow systems to be able to cross our T's and dot our I's when it comes to like what's factual in this business, what's real. Home buying or selling could be emotional, right? I feel like because of our approach of leading with relationships and caring for that person, but then using data to make decisions really helps us and sets us apart. To me, when I think of being an expert, that's take care of your people and make decisions based off of factual information is what's going to help us, make the right decisions.
Yeah. I mean, so there's lots of data out there, and then it's like knowing what to do with the data and how to best explain it to them and how to best, use that data to give them sound advice. So there's that piece of it, whether it be giving them information on market value if they're listing a house, and we've had this many showings on all of our other listings. So, we can take that into account when we were listing your property or we're seeing the market soften. And we're very much ahead of that information, meaning that we know when it's softening before the overall market typically does, because we're talking so much, before that news comes out. We can see what's happening with our buyers and listings. And then giving advice on pricing, because there's lots of information out there. So, and buyer giving advice on, what price to go in at for a property or what we need to do in order to win the property. And just being at a point to where, it's not always telling them what they want to hear, but giving them, I always say, just even if we're opinionated on what we think they should do, give them a menu of options. And then they pick, you give your recommendation on which in that menu of options they should go with, but then they choose which one they want to go with. Okay, this is what we can do in order to win this offer. Here's the menu of options I think we could do. And this is what I would recommend we do, but you tell me what you want to do. Or if we've got multiple offers and we've got 5 offers, We go over everything. We go over the scenarios of each of those offers and the contingencies involved and pros and cons of going back with a certain type of counter, and then give your recommendation. And then they tell you what you want to do. We're not, because I'll hear agents be like, well, I think this is what we should do. And I'm just like, well, let them make that decision, but tell them what you think and what you think the probability of that actually panning out is. And then they make the call.
Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, to me, what I'm hearing you say is give them options and strong communication, right? We're not here to tell people what to do. We're here to advise.
Yeah.
And we're here to take our experience to be able to help our clients make the best decision, whether it's selling their home or whether it's buying and getting into a new one.
Yeah. And communication, critical in my mind. I mean, that's where it makes or break a deal. Very much, I'm one to feel like we need to be very proactive instead of reactive. Reactive is where you come into the office and, everything's going horribly and you're putting out fires all over the place because you're just reacting to things, as opposed to being proactive and getting ahead of each of those scenarios. So everything operates a lot smoother. Doesn't mean things don't come up, but try to get ahead of as many of those things as you can. So it's smooth for the client. So they experience a very smooth experience, and they always know exactly where we are right now and what the next step is. So if someone calls me, I feel like in a way I failed them, because why did they have to call me? I should always be the one calling them. Not say that they can't call me, but they shouldn't have to call me and say, hey, I just want to check in to see how it's going. If you get that call, you're not communicating enough to your client.
For sure. Yeah, I definitely agree. To me, on that piece of it, I tell my clients, like, I'm usually 2 to 3 steps ahead of you. And I look at the options and how things could go, in multiple ways through my experience. So my job is to be able to help lead you through this next decision, but also tell you what could happen down here.
Yeah.
If we buy a house and it's, we paid, $40,000 over list and we don't have an appraisal gap, like, we might have appraisal issues. That would just be one example, right? And to me, if you do this long enough and you're focused on being an expert, you understand what could happen and the obstacles that could come in the way. And I think that's the piece about working with a full-time agent that does this as their daily job, as their business, because once you do this enough, everything's different. And sometimes you see new stuff. I'll be the first one to say that, but what could happen.
Yeah.
And in helping give them that advice so that they can make that best next right move.
Right. Yeah. And, if you're working with a newer agent or someone who's not as experienced or not expert in their field, you as this buyer or seller are, when that agent that's inexperienced learn something new on your transaction, that just cost you for that learning experience for them. Whereas an experienced agent probably would have known that was happening, that was going to happen. You know what I mean? So they were able to get ahead of it. Whereas the person that's not as experienced is like, yeah, this happened. And, it's like, well, experienced agent probably would have known that was going to happen. And now that costs the buyer or seller. And then that agent, that cost was what happened to that agent was the cost was taken on by the buyer or the seller or their client.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of fall back into mentorship, or at least a good community of people that you can go to. If you don't know something, the worst thing we could do as an agent is to pretend like we know something.
Yeah.
So to have a network of agents or people that we trust that have more experience or maybe have seen something different than you, even if you've been in the field the same amount of time, I think is so crucial. And I think it's one of the reasons, not to make this an infomercial about Royal Family Real Estate, but I think that's what's nice about us. I could call you, I could call Kim, I could call Pradeep have you seen this?
Yeah.
And that goes a long ways because, an agent that we used to work with would always say, like, you're going to learn something new. I've been in the business 15 years and I still learn something new every once in a while. And as I'm approaching my 9 years in this business, it's so true.
Yeah,
there's sometimes when you see something new. So that goes back to the communication, treating people fairly and being good to people, and especially your peers, because you might need to to pick their brain and work collaboratively on it.
Yeah. Well, and a mentor is likely going to say, okay, with this transaction you have coming up, be prepared for this. You know what I mean? So they're getting ahead of it.
You made me a good agent before I was a good agent because I could do that.
Yeah.
Year one in business, I didn't know anything, but I could call you or at the time Brenna from the office, and all of a sudden I could get expert knowledge from people that have been in the business so long. Like, oh, like it made me a good agent quick.
Yeah.
And
it's awesome.
It's something that I think even as I go here today at 9 years in the business, I want people around me that think differently, that have different experiences, because I don't know what I'm going to run into. And sometimes I might have seen it before. Sometimes it might just be a new thing. And I want to run something by. I think this is how we should handle this. What do you think? What would you do? Or have you seen this before?
Right.
That communication and collaborative piece, I think, is key to our business.
For sure. Yeah. And you'll see that, being in the business as long as we have, even add 10, 20 years on to where we'll be in 10 or 20 years, and we're still in the business and we have that much more experience.
We're going to look young, that's all I'm going to say.
Oh, yeah. Of course. Even at that point, we'll obviously have more experience, but it's not like you're always going to know every scenario. But because that's what's good about this business, it's always changing, keeps it fresh. So there's always something new, just with a spin. But you use your foundational experience, and then you build off of that. So you'll see a lot of things that happen that rhyme, but are not exactly the same. Totally. But they rhyme. It's very similar. And then you use your experience of how to react.
Yeah. Awesome. Any last words of wisdom on being an expert in residential real estate?
Let's petition to have it to where it costs a lot more to be a realtor, and you have to be 2 years before you can become a realtor. Let's all petition for that.
Let's go. Let's start a movement.
It's not going to happen.
Now that I'm in year 9,
let's increase the professionalism in our industry. Well, there's a lot of great people out there.
There's a lot of great people, but to me, the professionalism is key. And it's not any, we talked about this earlier before we turned on the cameras. Any industry, there's people that aren't professional, but we definitely see them in this field. And it's not to talk, crap about anybody. It's just to say it is what it is. But that's why having experience, having agents that are experienced around you to pick brains from, and sometimes to vent is really key. But to me, it's always about like, well, if you're not being professional or ethical, like I'm going to handle and I'm going to do things the way that I'm going to do things, but you're not helping us. As to me, we should be good to each other as agents. We should support each other as agents. When we send a text asking about, how old is the furnace, we should get a text back saying how old the furnace is. And sometimes we don't get that stuff. We have to chase for that.
Or I'm not sure, or I'll ask and find out, or the seller's not aware, or something, or
something.
We're all trying to work together, because you never know when you're going to have the other person on the other side.
Amen. Cool. Well, awesome. I enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, likewise.
Let's keep on focusing on being experts.
Appreciate
Let's do it. Friends, give us a call at Royal Family Real Estate if you want people that are striving every single day to be experts in their craft. Have a good day. Peace.